again with the promise of updating you weekly, and just glad to be here. I know prior to this briefing, you know that I just delivered the proposed budget to the New Orleans City Council on behalf of the administration, and of course on the behalf of the hardworking men and women of this city, and particularly the people that we serve. The next piece, you always kind of start with public safety, and as I do on this week, I just really want to just highlight, and as I have talked and shared previously, violence in our families, in our communities, throughout our city. As the people have told us, it really is a matter of public health, meaning public safety is a matter of public health. Domestic violence, as we know, is more than just violence between intimate partners. Often our children are dragged into these disputes, and this is something that we witnessed. Our families witnessed, our community witnessed the tragedy that happened last week on America Street. My heart just continues to ache for the mother, for the families. I stay in constant communication with the family, making sure that the city of New Orleans just demonstrates our love and our support, not just in word, but in deed. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. And as a mother myself, a loss of 3 children, it's something, again, my heart just goes out. Even this week, another toddler in our community lost, was shot and killed. We know that at Park Fontaine Apartments on yesterday. And again, a tragedy in our city, in our community. My prayers just remain both with our families, the mothers, and all the loved ones that have been impacted by it. But also, make no mistake, we're all impacted by it, directly as well as indirectly. Every life in our city is precious, especially our young children. So now's the time really to gather our strength from one another and to lift each other up. And again, not just in word, but in action. It needs to go hand in hand. Silence in the face of these issues just are unacceptable. And sometimes the silence is even sound. We must speak up when we see signs of violence in our homes, in our families, throughout our neighborhoods, throughout this city. This is something that I have been repeating time and time again. So I encourage anyone who is experiencing any levels of domestic violence or knows someone, please to call 504-658-5523, or you can contact our 24/7 domestic violence hotline, 504-866-9554, and it is my request that you all, the media, make these numbers available when you're reporting to the public. We really would appreciate it. It takes all of us, again, not just in word, but in deed and in action. Additionally, the New Orleans Family Justice Center can be reached at their main line, 504-592-4005. As you know, the New Orleans Family Justice Center is one of our nonprofits that we support significantly, meaning the city of New Orleans, directly with resources to help our people. So we will continue to prioritize, of course, the well-being of every resident in this city through programs and resources, and only with the intent to meet our people where they are. I also wanted to highlight and take this opportunity to highlight Operation Big Easy. And this operation is really a perfect example of just how, when we're working together in collaborative ways, especially all law enforcement agencies and partners, we get big results on the ground. And so spanning from a 3-month period, Operation Big Easy involved the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, of course, the Louisiana State Police, the New Orleans Police Department, and of course, other agencies. They yielded 41 individuals being arrested and charged, 71 firearms confiscated, and 2 kilograms of fentanyl and heroin seized. Again, dangerous narcotics that we know are in the city of New Orleans, but in a unified way, working together, we're getting drugs off of the street. But the fact of the matter is, there's so much more to go, but we need our people to understand these are deadly drugs. Fentanyl, as it relates also to heroin and even cocaine. So again, sounding that alarm, wanting to make people know that we're out there, work is being done, and we will remain focused in these areas. This also demonstrates, again, how we must continue to take a holistic approach in terms of the matter of public safety and treating it holistically, once again, as a matter of public health and even a public health emergency. The New Orleans Health Department, again, along with other city departments, as you know, secured over $50 million in direct allocation of ARPA money to support programs that have demonstrated a return on that investment, reducing violent crime in our city and supporting basic human services, and we'll continue on that path. I wanted to speak very briefly on the wetlands smoke fire and the dense fog, again, that we have experienced. So the city of New Orleans just continues to monitor the active wetlands fire. I did a flyover myself on Monday to see for myself, but then to also be able to respond to something that I put my eyes on, as well as making sure that the private property between Bayou Sauvage, our national wildlife refuge, and Michoud Canal, in terms of all those areas that we have eyes on, but we're continuing to focus on and mitigate as best we can. The biggest hazard from this active incident seems to be and remains to be the smoke, and that's impacting air quality as well as driver visibility. I just want to encourage people to take note of and respond to all the real-time notices that come through NOLA Ready, and just follow the instructions and guidelines that are being provided by the city of New Orleans. Smoky areas, as we know, may see much greater density as well as fog of the coverage there, and so we're just asking drivers to continue to just use extreme caution. We saw that pile up on I-55 and also injuries that were sustained due to that. So we want everyone to take heed and to take precautions, those that are necessary. Also, we're making sure that we're distributing masks to our residents as well. Free N95 as well as KN95 masks to communities that have been impacted and really want this added protection. I found for myself, it's helped me. I am asthmatic. I had to give me a breathing treatment even on Sunday, and I'm nowhere close to the fog or the dense fog, but I tell you, the air quality is impacted. We know, again, it's still stabilizing in terms of normal levels, but we're a community in terms of the disparity gaps relative to health, and when you talk about asthmatic or residents suffering, it's just one area that we just need to focus on, as well as take precautions on our own. Masks, they do help. The areas of distribution, the New Orleans East Regional Library, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Joe Brown, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sanchez, the Multi-Purpose Center, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., as well as the Algiers Regional Library Branch, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you can see, just again, being very intentional about even the timelines for mass pickup and distribution sites. Before getting to Q&A, I wanted to just do another plug for Slow Internet, the Slow Internet Challenge. And so the Office of Information Technology and Innovation, on behalf of the City of New Orleans and in partnership with Connect Louisiana, announced the launch of the Slow Internet Challenge. And this is to address what we know is the digital divide throughout the City of New Orleans, as well as to increase access to fast, reliable internet services. We're wanting to maximize the influx of federal dollars that the city will be able to utilize to create and to create and increase, I would say, reliable internet activity. The good news is that the City of New Orleans has done, even prior to this and even going into COVID-19, we've assessed where our gaps are in our city. We know where the digital divides are, but we do need the public to be engaged, because this challenge only demonstrates at a higher level what our needs are and how we're on the same page and unified as a city about the needs, but also the resources that are being deployed to meet our people where they are and deal with the digital divide. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John, and you can take us through questions and answers.
Starting with Carly with Axios, if you have a question.
Yes, Mayor, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have any updates on the search for the director of the Department of Public Works? Any timeline on that?
So the city, so we will be submitting to the New Orleans City Council as aligned with the provisions of confirming directors as the director of the Department of Public Works is one. And so we'll be submitting that letter for for that process to begin. So that should hit within the next week or so. So we're excited. It will be internal, that we're elevating, meaning leadership, and we feel that we have the best candidate in-house to move forward on.
So you already have a nominee, it just hasn't been submitted?
That's correct, and internal.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Deputy Issue.
Yes, good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
So there's already an internal investigation with NOP regarding the response to the America Street incident. Do you think that a ball was dropped at all when it came to how many officers were able to get there and what time?
So first of all, as it relates to the officers that responded, our platoon responded as necessary and on time. Relative to the investigation of, I would say, in terms of executive staff, that is something that has been moved forward by our Superintendent Kirkpatrick, something that we stand by unified, and we're wanting to get to the bottom of any thing. If there was anything done wrong, we will make sure that individuals are held accountable. But the first step is investigating. The first step is doing that, and if there's something found, we will handle it as we see and deem necessary. Right now, it's just a matter of the facts, combing through to get the facts. So not pointing the finger, but the bottom line is the finger is pointed at the individual who, unfortunately, took the lives of his own children. That's what we do know. Thank you.
Do you think that domestic abuse cases and calls here in New Orleans is getting the prioritization that it needs when the city is facing a lot of domestic abuse cases?
I think and from the public, violent crime has always and will be the priority, and of course domestic violence is a part of that focus. We as a city has not only prioritized violence in this city, domestic as well, and put resources to bear to meet our folks where they are, and even being unafraid and unapologetic to speak to the issues that we're seeing regarding mental health and the disparity gaps that exist within our families and within our community. This is a community problem, and it's one that will be resolved collectively, and we will remain focused on it as a priority, as a matter of public health. We're doing that. Thank you.
WWL.
Good morning. Going off of what Cassie just asked, after this America Street incident, a lot of people are worried that, if I call 911 in an emergency, I'm not going to get a quick response. So what do you have to say to those people, those community members who might have that worry and concern?
I will say that they continue to call 911 if there is an emergency, and the City of New Orleans will continue to respond as we have demonstrated with all efforts, meaning our public safety team as a whole. We see this as a matter of public health. We know that it is a priority, and we will continue to respond as such.
On Friday, when some of our crews were out there, a crew of city workers came with heavy machinery and excavator, and there was an emergency demolition notice. We were then told that there were no immediate plans for demolition. Why were crews there waiting around for the go-ahead and with an excavator if there were no plans for immediate demolition? And what does that timeline look like?
So the timeline, what it looks like relative to the America Street property is one that will be focused on an investigation that is ongoing by the New Orleans Police Department and law enforcement partners. That will be the timeline that we will lean on the most relative to homicides that occurred on America Street. So there will be no demolition until we've been given the proper go-ahead.
So why was there heavy machinery?
There was machinery there, I would say, too soon. We're not going to demolish the property. We have responded to this. You've heard my leadership firsthand talk about this to you directly, so you know that we are withholding from moving forward with the demolition until proper processes have been implemented relative to the homicides that occurred at that particular property.
WGNO, do you have a question?
Yes, hi. The OPCD had said last week that when dispatch alerted NOPD, there wasn't an available unit right away in the 7th District. A member, the former president of the Police Community Advisory Board, had written a letter addressed to Superintendent Kirkpatrick about possibly having other officers with other agencies help out the 7th District. The letter was to Ms. Kirkpatrick, but what are your thoughts on officers from other agencies supplementing the 7th District?
So the superintendent of police will continue to look at crime trends where they're occurring and deploy deployment strategies associated with it so that we can respond to the needs of our community in real time.
Thank you all.
Thank you very
I
much.
actually
Sorry, Pod 8 has questions.